Howdy. Welcome to another episode of Vuha Hates Talking to People. And I know it's ironic because the last two episodes I was doing pretty well talking to people. So the title doesn't really make sense. So might have to change the title. It's too late now. I got the intro already made. So we're just gonna leave it as is. I do hate talking to people, but I do like talking to people that I like. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that if I don't talk to you, that I don't like you. I just haven't gotten you to that level in my life yet where I can easily talk to you, hence why you are not on my podcast. Just like a cowboy today, because I was thinking the other day about how I love cowboys. I love westerns. Grew up watching a lot of westerns as a kid. My parents would put us in front of the TV and we'd watch Turner Broadcasting Channel System, whatever, TBS. Had a lot of Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns on there. A lot of the Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, all those just great spaghetti westerns. And I grew up wanting to be in a western and didn't quite understand at the time that westerns don't typically have Asian people in them. In fact, they do, but not in the way that I would want them to. In fact, I'm an actor now, and I would love to be in a western. I would love to star in a western, one of the gunslingers, and I have an agent. So, I went to my agent one day and I said, "Hey, agent," because that's what I call him. I call him agent. "Hey, agent, I want to be in a Western. Can you get me in some, spaghetti Western out there shooting? I would love to be in a Western." And my agent made a few calls for me. That's what agents do. They make calls for you. And he came back and he said, "Okay, look, I got a lead." And I said, "Yes, you got me a lead. I'm going to get to be in a spaghetti Western, right?" And he was like, "Well, not really. It's more of a ramen Western, more designed for Asian people." And I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's not even a thing. Not even, come on, there's gotta be something I can be in." And he goes, "Well, are you familiar with Young Guns?" And I was like, "Oh, what? You got me Young Guns? I'm gonna be in the new Young Guns?" He goes, "Well, no, not exactly. I got you in this new movie called Egg Foo Young Guns." Yeah, I know. Look, I want to play a real cowboy. I want to be Billy the Kid. And he's like, "Well, we got you Billy the Kid." I did? You got me Billy the Kid? Like, "Yeah, well, no, it's actually Billy the Karate Kid. If you're okay with that." "Oh, okay. Okay." And I get on set. They give me my cowboy costume, my holsters, and I go to props and I go, "Hey, I need my guns. I got these two empty holsters here." Walked up to me and they put one chopstick in each holster, telling me that my role is going to be catching bullets with chopsticks. A man who catches bullet with chopstick can accomplish anything. So yeah, just being a cowboy in a movie isn't likely to happen for me. Because oftentimes when you want to cast an Asian person in a Western, they'll think railroad worker, mine worker, a slave or something, not a main lead cowboy, which I don't have to be the lead. I said, "Look, tell you what else do we have in spaghetti westerns besides cowboys? Indians." And I may not be Native American, but my darker skin could pass, maybe. Can I be an Indian? And they said, "Well, I told them that you were Asian and you wanted to be an Indian." And they said, "Well, what's he gonna do? Tech support?" And like, "No, I want to be a Native American." And they go, "Well, we do have two roles for you. You can be a Native American, one of the Indians in the Cowboy and Indian movie." And I said, "Really?" So like, do I get a cool Native American name, and I get it to be like roaming buffalo or screeching eagle, something like that? And they go, well, no, we got you two people you can choose from. Like, oh yeah, who? Well, you have crouching tiger, hidden dragon. No, no, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it. So today I have a very special guest. She's a good friend of mine, and she's multi-talented, M-U-L-T-I, multi-talented. Her name is Autumn Slate. She is an actress. She's an author. She's a filmmaker, a producer, a director. She is also an archer. She's a musician, a singer. She does something else and something else. But I'm just saying, this lady has a lot of stuff under her belt. And one thing she doesn't have is two holsters with two chopsticks in there, but not exactly the same thing. But I'd like you guys to meet Autumn today, get to know her, get to know the kind of things that she can do that I can't do, and then, we'll see how well I do with my conversation today. So give me a minute, I'll bring Autumn on. All right, so here she is. This is my good friend Autumn Slate. She is an extraordinary talent. I'm not trying to embarrass her here, but man, her list just goes on of all the things that she does. She's a writer, and an author, an actor, a filmmaker. She does producing work. She does she's trying to do some screenwriting. You do directing. You have all these little side things you do. You're an archer. You're a singer-songwriter, a florist, a business owner. I mean, what don't you do?
Sleep.
Oh,
Boo.
sleep.
I don't really know.
No, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. You suck at sleeping. No, out of all the things that you do, I mean, because you do so much, what is your favorite of all of that? I mean, I know it's hard to pick out your favorite child and everything, but what would you say is your favorite thing to do out of all those things right now?
Well, it is definitely hard to pick out your favorite child, as all of my businesses do feel like my children. But I would probably have to say that it's a toss up between the three: acting, writing, and floristry. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be acting. That is where my true passion lies.
I understand that completely. And in a way, acting gets you, it's sort of an extension of the writing thing too. Because when you write, you're creating these characters and you actually even embody them in your mind. So now you actually get to put them out in physical form. So I can see how that could be even higher on the level. But let's talk about the writing though, because I'd like to dig into that first, because that's one aspect that a lot of people I talk to here on my little podcast, I've done to other people, but they don't do. So and I myself am an author now. I'm officially a professional author, so I have an interest in this a little more too. So I'd love to hear more about your journey. Like your prominent series that you are working on right now is the Liberty's Freedom series. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So
Mhm.
you have two books out. You have Taken by Moonlight and Called Out of Silence, and those are out now. Tell me, how long have you been working on this series?
Liberty is Freedom, I have actually been working on since I was about 12 years old. Not wanting to date myself, but that is definitely over a decade. Yes, it was an idea that came to me when I was a child, and I used to play outside all the time when I was living in Colorado on my 10-acre farm. And it started out as a shipwreck story with a very feisty princess, kind of the enemies to lovers trope. I was actually inspired by Star Wars. That surprises a
Oh,
lot of people. Yes. So I was going for a little bit of that Han and Leia chemistry, only to decide that I don't like that at all. So, Taken by Moonlight has undergone so many changes, including the title and the characters' names. There's really only four characters and a few key aspects to the series that have survived all this time. But what started out as a little childhood game has turned into something that is something so precious to me. It's like the characters are my family, and the story is somewhere that I can escape to and just enjoy being in that world of Lemuria for a while.
I mean, it's definitely a change from Star Wars. I've never seen any of the early versions of it, but based on what I've read, yeah, I don't even see the Star Wars at all in it. So that's. At what point did you change? How long ago would you say that what you have today? When did that come into fruition in your head that you said this direction you were going to go?
It would have been about 2013, 2014 when I was about 16. I had decided that it wasn't resonating with me. It wasn't real to me, you could say. But I didn't want to give up the story. I absolutely loved the story. So I put it away for a little while and prayed about it, bathed it in prayer because I really wanted to bring the series to life. I just couldn't figure out how. And then one day it came to me to tell it as similar fashion to The Princess Bride, where you start out in modern time and you have a character who is struggling with something, whether it be depression or an illness, and another character comes in and tells a story to illustrate a point that they're trying to make to that character. So I would say that it was about 16 years old that I was inspired to write about there and starting in the modern time and telling Memorial like a story. And for some reason, that point just opened up the story, and it was like God just put the novel inside me and it just flowed. And since then, it's undergone only a few changes, but I can definitely say that I'm happy with that point in time where everything shifted into what it is today.
The Lemuria, that is your world. And for me, I often, when I was reading the first book and now I'm going through the second one, I often kind of parallel it with how I feel when I'm looking at the Lord of the Rings is you have this deep world that you've built, and you have the lore. You actually even have your own language, you have your own customs and stuff like that that exist in this. Tell us, if you were just trying to explain to someone who's interested in your books, tell us about Lemuria. Why should they want to be a part of this world that I love so much?
Lemuria is a beautiful land. It is set just outside the coast of Glasgow, Scotland. Who doesn't love the UK, right? Misty hills, verdant grass. It's just absolutely beautiful. But it started out shortly during the Roman Empire, before Constantine, I believe even before Nero a little bit, when persecution was hot and heavy against the Christians. It started out, there's where the shipwreck finally came back into being, with a group of slaves on a Roman slave ship bound for Rome who were marooned on this desert island after a storm. Well, this island they discovered was beautiful and a nice place to live, and a few of the Roman soldiers had converted to Christianity at that point. So they decided to make it into a Christian nation, and they built it from the ground up to where it is today in AD 1130. I forgot my year. Where it is in AD 1130, where it is an absolutely beautiful place to live, where there's flowers. The people there, at least when the novel started, they were happy. The king and queen loved them. And it's a place that has a lot of my own heart's desires, where damsels are protected, they are loved, they are cherished. The qualities of chivalry are one of the five pillars of Lemuria, as are faith and integrity. The things that I feel like we all long for today wind up in this story, Lemuria, as one of the five pillars. And the characters, which really make the story for me, they value things such as true friendship, which is something that I feel needs to be talked about a lot more. So many books out there are romance and tropes and all of that, but things such as having a faith under hot persecution, or being a friend, a loyal friend to somebody, even when everything says that you shouldn't be, those are the things that we long for, but we often forget about in light of some of the other tropes that are out there. So those are the principles, and not to mention, it's just a beautiful place to live. It doesn't get hot like it is out there now.
In Taken by Moonlight, it actually picks up at a sort of a sad, dark time in Lemurian history. Because I mean, you're giving the history from the beginning, it's all beautiful and everything. But when you actually start reading the book, it's some tragic stuff has happened. I won't go into the spoilers or anything, but I like the fact that we're not just starting from the very beginning. We are thrown right in, and then we learn as we go. And you mentioned the Christian values and morals and stuff like that. But one of the things I find that I struggle with when it comes to Christian faith-based content is that it kind of is a little too heavy-handed on the Christian sides to the point that it kind of gets in the way of the story because you're just trying to hitting people in the head with, Christian God, which I just don't think that's a way to, preach to people. Not, yeah, not even preaching, just to witness to people. And so one of the things I loved about the book is that the element is there, and it's prominently there as a part of their world, but it's not. You're not preaching at people. You're actually telling a true medieval story of these characters and the things, especially what Liberty's going through, and then all the other characters you go along the way with. And I just think that is one of the reasons that sells it for me. Is I like faith-based content that isn't so obviously faith, 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 and I think that's really great. Let's see here. So with Taken by Moonlight, so this is the first one. We have this one, and then the one that just recently came out, we have called Out of Silence, and they're both available online through your, how do you say that website? Is it Ko-Fi or is it Coffee? I never knew how to say it.
I believe it is coffee. It's spelled very, very strange. It's the KO-FI. And I think the thinking behind it is there is a feature where you can buy me a coffee, where you can donate $5, $10
Oh,
just for
okay.
the heck of it. And I think that that's where they get the pronunciation of coffee is
That
buy me
makes
a coffee.
That makes sense. And then coffee is a trendy thing. People, like
Oh,
to
yeah.
say, yeah, I want my coffee, whatever. So yeah, so if anyone is interested in getting a copy, you can get it through Autumn's coffee site. I'll probably put the links into the description and stuff like that. But there are two books out now. You're planning how many total books for the series?
That is a good question. Liberty's Freedom originally started out as a trilogy. That's not going to happen. So the first book was, of course, Taken by Moonlight. The second book was actually originally titled In Spite of the Flame. And as I was rewriting it from what I had in my childhood scribblings, I realized that there was no way that I could cram all of this into one book and not have it be the size of a phone book. So I split it in half, thus making it 4 books. And I'm thinking that the same thing is probably going to happen with what is now book 4. So I am aiming for 5. It could be more, but it also could stay at 4 depending on how the rewrite goes. So anywhere from 4 to 6, I suppose, at this point.
No, that's good. That's good because I'll be honest with you. I'm halfway through book 2 right now, and I was under the impression at the time that there was only going to be 3 books. And I was thinking, man, hey, because when you get that halfway point of any series that you're enjoying, you start to get sad, and then you get. And I have a thing for me. I have a rule. I only read one chapter a night. That's just in order because I have so many other things going on. If I let myself get too caught up and I keep reading, I forget to do other things. So I only restrict myself to one chapter a night. So I've been slowly getting through the book, but I'm already at the halfway point. And I was starting to get sad because I, at the time, thought there was only going to be one more book after this. But then you informed me that there have been more. Like, okay, I don't feel so bad now. I'll feel bad during the other ones. But when does the next one come out?
In Spite of the Flame will be released in November sometime. I don't
Okay.
know the exact date yet, but it's halfway through one of its final edits, and it should be sometime around mid-November, we're thinking.
You self-publish. You've always self-published all of your books, is that correct?
Most of them,
Most
yes.
of them. Okay. So I mean, being an author, recently published author myself, that's quite a task to prepare your content for publishing because you have to format it a certain way. You have to make sure that all the pages are where they need to be in what order and everything like that. Do you do all that on your own?
Yes, I do.
Wow. Like you've got a lot out there. I mean, if you had to count how many books that you have available for purchase right now, how many would you say is total?
7.
7.
7 for purchase.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. See, I went through that one setup for that one book, and that took a lot out of me, just trying to sort out all the templates and everything like that. So you did 7 of them, and hey, kitty, how you doing?
Hello. This is
Oh,
Hadassah.
that's the
She wanted to
first
keep
time I've
her.
actually got to see her without being in a photo. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, well, this is Hadassah. She
Well,
can't let
welcome.
me have a moment to myself.
I will use that as a chance for self promo. I have my own book. Everyone else out there, this is The Cat Garden. It can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Walmart.com. But the reason I'm bringing that up is in this book, I had to come up with a bunch of cats. I had to like come up with different kind of cats because the book has a variation in it. And I was trying to come up with a new cat I hadn't done before, and you had posted a photo of Adassa. And so I actually put her right there in the book. So for those of you who
Oh,
have the book, this is Autumn's cat here. So just so you know, that's where she came from. So I know I have a few fans out there who actually purchased the book, so I just wanted to throw that in there. Um, okay, so you after after Liberty's Freedom's done, are you going to be extending the world, or are you going to be doing something else? What else do you have going on after that?
I actually have several projects in the works. I do want to expand a little bit on the Liberty's Freedom series. There are a few characters who do not appear in Taken by Moonlight, but they do appear in Called Out of Silence and In Spite of the Flame. And as I was writing their portion of the story, I thought, this would be a very interesting story by itself because there's so much backstory, but they're a side character. And, well, all authors have a joke about that one side character who becomes so likable that you turn him into an NC. Well, that's what's going to happen.
That's
One of
fun.
my favorite authors is Kira Cass, and she wrote the selection series for young adults. And she loved it so much that she went back and she wrote a very small novel that had one 20-page chapter dedicated to each side character. So that is my intention with kind of a little fun thing to do after the series wraps up is take some of the stories, such as I believe you've met Fiacra briefly, um, Fiacra, Ciaran, and a few others that you will meet throughout the series and just dedicate maybe a chapter to them, and tell a little bit of their story. So that's where I will probably take the Liberty's Freedom series when I'm finished with it. But as for other projects, I actually have several in the works. And one of them has been a part of me since I was 19. It was another one of those very life changing stories. And the basic gist of it is that there is a main character who is very cynical towards the Lord, very cynical indeed. She's goes so far as to say she's very angry with him. And she asks the number one question that a lot of people do in today's day and age, which is if God is so loving, why does he allow tragedy? She's a talk show host, obviously better than me. And she puts forth that question and says, whoever thinks that they can answer this, comment below and let me know, and I'll bring you on my talk show and we'll talk. Well, she gets a response from three different scientists. And well, the story goes from there. I won't deal too much with it. It is still in very early pre-production stages, to use a film speak there, but that is one of the projects that I've been working on since 2019. And it's very dear to my heart, that one is. It's very different than anything I've ever written, but I fully believe that this one is one that God really wants me to get out there.
So you are working on that one currently. It's in the works, but you also have the remainder of the Liberties Freedoms book that you're still kind of finalizing and stuff. And geez, I mean, how do you manage? I mean, do you do those and then also, you do the acting at the same time, and then you do your business at the same time? I'm impressed.
I told you I had sleep.
That's right. That's right. Okay. But that's a good segue then, because one thing I'm going to say, and this is one of the things I've told you in the past, your writing style is very, it's very set in a way that it could be translated to film easily, in my opinion. The way you describe scenes, the way you describe action and stuff like that, it's so clear and obvious what's going on. You do such a good job explaining it that anyone has to transfer it into a film format can do that. And I think that's partially due to the fact that you also have a lot of interest in film. And you are an actress, you a filmmaker. So what brought you into that world? How long have you been wanting to do more in film and whatnot?
I would say the film portion for me has been since my teenage years, but my passion for acting began shortly after I turned 14. where I was in a stage play at a historical reenactment, and it was one line. It was one line, but it got me hooked. And I've told a lot of aspiring actors who keep returning to sets. I said, once you've got the bug, that's it. There's no getting rid of it. Well, that's very true. So that was my first experience with it, and from there it progressed into, do I like stage better? Do I like film better? And then I decided, why do I have to like one or the other? When I'm not doing film, I can do stage. But film has definitely been a more recent thing for me, I want to say, especially since it's so technical with eye lines and don't move past this frame type thing. Whereas I'm accustomed to a stage where you have all of this plus to work with. So film has been a fun, challenging, but fun transition for me.
I feel like I agree with you on all of that because I love stage. I've done some stage work too, and I love performing on stage. I love the whole just the theatrical level of doing all the work and doing telling a story in one shot, straight through to the end.
Mhm.
I just can't commit to the rehearsals anymore. I've seen, my local theater will put up little casting calls like, oh, I want to do that. But then I thought, oh, I just can't do that rehearsal schedule right now because of everything else going on in my life. So film works better for me. And with exception to more recently, I've been cast in a feature film. And although I've been having a lot of fun with it, I've been finding that when you cast in a bigger supporting role in a feature film, your schedule is pretty much shot that whole time because I originally was I committed to the whole month of July, and that's the contract is I have to be available for the whole month of July. But then they gave me this initial schedule, and it was like I did 3 days this week and 2 days that week, and whatnot. And I made arrangements with my ex to get the schedule for childcare in order and stuff. And then since then we've changed it so many times because it just every other day is like, okay, we need you on this day now instead of this day and stuff. So it's still a commitment, but it's easier for me to adjust with that one than I would in theater where they need me 5 days a week every night and then up to the show and stuff. But anyway, sorry, I went off on a little rant there. So with
Welcome to the industry.
what is your favorite genre of film to be in? If you could choose one that you would like to do, the most.
Mm, that's a very difficult question for me because I do like some faith-based projects. There are a few that I find, I don't wish to say anything ill, speak ill of anyone, but there are a few that I find maybe a little too sweet. I like the nitty gritty of faith where a character is forced to confront questions like, why do I believe what I believe? Am I still going to trust God even when I'm getting kind of mangled down here? And if things don't work out in my favor, am I still going to love him? Those are the type of faith based genres that I absolutely love, getting into that nitty gritty of what we as Christians face on a day to day basis, even if there's no earth splitting miracle coming our way. So that's one genre that I really like. Another one, I have actually recently very much gotten into fantasy, and I would have to say anything medieval. Medieval is my, well, I've often been teased about being born in the wrong century. I should have been born in the 12th century, but but then I wouldn't be here with all of you lovely folks. So
Of course, but it's I mean, going back to your books, those of you who haven't read her books, it's set in medieval times. It's a very, everything. If you love medieval stories, I mean, these books are great for that, and so it makes sense that you would love to make films in that level. And yeah, are you doing any work right now that is medieval based that you'd like to talk about?
well, I am actually. I think you might be a little acquainted with it yourself.
Hmm.
I'm doing a series currently that focuses on a new look on the story of King Arthur. It is called True Armor, if my producer doesn't mind me calling out that name. It's called True Armor. We've been posting about it on Facebook. We've been hyping it. Our premiere is supposed to be in August sometime. And it has just been a pleasure to work with these people and see this come from where it started to where it is now. So, yes, I am currently working on a medieval production. And I also have one in the works myself. It is very, very early in its stages, not quite to pre-production yet. It's in the, I believe they call it research stage, and it also takes place in the Middle Ages.
Okay. And now is that
Mhm.
a project that you are developing yourself, or you're just involved with the people who are developing it?
That's a project that I'm developing myself, and I
Okay.
am recruiting a lot of wonderful people's help with it because I
Okay.
am at a complete loss. But yes, it is something that I have written and will probably direct myself.
And see, there you go.
Definitely more on that in the future.
Yeah, and that's going back to what I'm saying. You wear so many hats, and that's always impressive to me. And just so for you guys watching here, a lot of talk shows, podcasts, we lie and pretend like we don't know anything about the person we're talking to, but we do the research ahead of time. So we know this stuff. And if so, the true armor she's talking about, I'm actually involved in that. Those of you who've actually probably seen some of my posts on it, I'm actually playing Arthur in it. And so I don't want anyone else getting in the comments saying, "Wait, I thought you were in that. Why are you acting like you don't know anything about it?" I do, but that's not. This is the magic of Hollywood. Leave it alone. So with that, I know that you have other projects coming up here. It's still in early working stages. The big one for me that I'm really excited about is a faith-based story called Awake. I think we could talk about some of it because they have a Facebook page open and they posted a few things there. When did you find out about that project?
I actually found out about it, I want to say in January this year. And one of the cast members of True Armor actually told me about it. I'm forever grateful to her. Shout out to her. Thank you, Lola Beth. And so I think I found out about it in January sometime when I was also halfway through auditions for another amazing project. And it has been a year-long endeavor, and just watching it grow has been absolutely amazing. I am very honored and excited to be a part of this amazing project. It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful script.
Are you is this your first like major feature film role?
Yes, it is my first feature. Yes.
Okay, so I'm really
I've
excited
been
about that.
I've been a background in a few features, but as
I'm talking
for
you're a lead
yeah,
character in this. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
big deal. I mean, because getting those lead roles is like amazing for any actor, and I'm really excited. But and again, to everyone out there, I'm involved with this movie too. I have an associate producer title, and I've been helping with some other back behind the scenes stuff, and I have a role in it, but I'm not gonna say anything about that yet. But just I don't want anyone calling me out for pretending like I don't know anything. Okay, but yes. I'm excited about this one for you too. I've read the story, I've read the script, and I really look forward to seeing you in that role along with everyone else. It looks like, and everyone, I'm gonna be posting later ways that you can help contribute to the film. A lot of these independent films, we need help, financial support, but other ways and stuff. So when you see me post those links, if you have any way of contributing, well, we would love your help. So I just want to put that one out there.
thank you. Yes.
So with that, we have you're a writer, you're a filmmaker, you're an actor. What else do you enjoy doing? I mean, you're a vocalist, so you sing. Does that mean you write your own songs?
I do. Yes.
So I mean, when you say you write your own songs, is it just the lyrics or do you write the music too?
I write both of them, the music and the lyrics.
Or you write music? Ah, good.
Yes, I do.
One. I am tone deaf. I cannot hear music and pick out notes and stuff like that. It's something I've never been able to do. I mean, all my life I always wanted to play an instrument, but because of my tone deafness, I can't do it. My kids both are very good at it. I mean, my daughter, she plays the viola and she's super getting great at it. And my son, he does a lot of stuff with keyboards and synthesizer stuff. And they're both, I'll hear them talking to each other like, was that a C or was that a B? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? But I don't have that. So you can write music too. That's pretty cool. So how many songs have you written?
I don't really know the exact number off the top of my head, but I want to say it's somewhere close to the 10 to 20 range.
Wow, and what are you doing with them? Are they just sitting there for you to enjoy, or are you gonna do something with them?
I blow the dust off of them occasionally and play them on my piano for right now. Um, I would absolutely love to get one or two in a recording studio, but I've been working with an amazing vocal teacher to polish that side of my music first before I start to let some of these songs out there.
Okay, so you're planning, you would like to release them almost like in, sort of in an album or something like that, or that's
Yes.
so
Yes.
you would play your own music and then also sing, and so you owning the whole thing.
Yes, the whole thing would be mine.
That's
And I would definitely, believe it or not, as a musician, I don't play the guitar. So I'd call in other musicians for the ones that I don't play, such as the drums, the guitar, that sort of thing. But yes, it would be something that the music would be composed by myself as well as the lyrics.
so you don't play the guitar or the drums, but you can actually write music that they can play for you. Is that how that works?
Yes, yes. Mhm.
I don't understand all that. Someone tried to teach me, music theory once, and my brain was just, I was not there. I was like, they started talking to me. I sat with him, and he actually bought me books and everything. He's like, I'm going to teach you this food. It's so easy. And as he was talking through it, I was already just kind of looking around the room, noticing things, and he would ask, "Did you get that food?" I'm sorry, you're gonna start again. I'm sorry, I was, yeah. So, great job, man. Great job. I'm looking forward to that. I know it's probably long ways down the road. That's super impressive.
Thank
Um,
you.
I was in a band in my college years. I didn't play anything. I was the vocalist, but I am not a vocalist. When you're in a punk ska band, you don't have to know how to sing. I think you've heard some of my tracks. I've played for you in the past, and it's the one thing when I hear a real vocalist, I just like, yeah, I suck. I suck.
Well, don't be too hard on yourself. I thought it was rather good, and well, anyone who tells you that music theory is easy is lying to you. And so so all of that being said, I was rather impressed with what I heard when you did show me snippets of your little few of your songs.
Oh,
So don't be too hard on
I thank you, and you can say that here, but you tell me the truth afterwards. I don't mind. I don't care.
yourself. You think I would lie on a podcast?
You wouldn't. You're not that way. Yeah, and that's a funny thing is I'm not gonna say I lie a lot, but as a comedian, when I'm a stand-up comedian. For those of you who don't know, a lot of the stories we tell on stage never happened. They never happened. I have a whole routine that I do about what it was like being a kid growing up in Vietnam during the war. I have a joke about how if I go up to my mother and tell her that my stomach hurts and I don't want to go to war, she yells at me and says, "Well, why don't you go tell your Aunt Lynn because she has no stomach because she got blown up by the bomb." And so we're like, "Oh, okay, I'll go to school then." That didn't happen. I was maybe like 8 months old when the war ended, so that didn't happen. But my whole point is I lie all the time on stage. So if anyone watches my comedy routine, don't believe anything I say. It's all stupid. Anyway, I'm off track here. So Miss Autumn, what else do you have going on that you would like to promote today?
Oh goodness, there's so many things. Well, I do own a flower shop. It is local to the Sevier County, Arkansas area. Very, very small. I started out as a little tiny flower stand. You can get away with that in Gillum, Arkansas. We have an economy of fruit stands and a sleazy mart. I mean, easy mart. But one of my passions when I'm not acting and writing is designing flowers. And that goes from silk to fresh. I am a person who loves flowers and all things beautiful, flowers, butterflies. So having that be one of my day jobs is it's such a blessing from the Lord to me because I can surround myself with beautiful things when I need to clear my head from writing. And I will say that times are tough right now, and I haven't been able to send out as many bouquets to make people smile as I can, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy making them and finding delight in just arranging things into something beautiful like a wreath or an arrangement and hopefully making somebody's day with it.
So when you are designing these flowers, you do them at a stand. People come and just pick out what you already done. Do you do custom bouquets and stuff?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
That's actually one of my main business points is anything custom for birthday, weddings, funerals just because those are the fun ones to do.
So if someone wants to have you custom make some stuff for them, they would just need to contact you and then kind of go through some kind of process where they explain what they're looking for, and then you would turn it around and get it to them. What's the time turnaround time for something like that? If somebody wants something, how much time should they reach out to you for so they don't, they're not missing the event or whatnot?
I definitely prefer it if it's not the day of with a 6 hour deadline. That doesn't mean that I can't throw together a dozen roses in half an hour because I can. But if I don't have the supplies in store, it makes it difficult to have to run to my supplier. So I would say a day in advance to a few days in advance. And of course, if it's something like a wedding or some type of major event like that, I would say a few months in advance because yes, I'm sure I've worked several weddings, and you may think that you want navy blue, but you probably want indigo. You'll change your mind a million times before the event, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. But a few weeks in advance for some bigger events like that would be a lot more preferable than the day off.
That's good to know. With that though, is I would assume that on the most part you would be the one delivering.
Yes.
Okay, so you'd also want to have like what kind of radius do you have for as far as if they want it in a few days, what's the farthest you drive to deliver it?
For smaller custom orders like a birthday or just a few small arrangements, my limits are usually to the Sevier County, Howard County, Little River County, parts of Arkansas, and Polk County as well. And I live close enough to the McCurtain County area in Broken Bow, Oklahoma type thing, where I will deliver there as well. But for big events such as that, I'm not above traveling to Hot Springs. I've done that before, and some of those are the most fun events to work because you get to see a new location while working a really cool event.
Okay, so that's good to know. So let's see, this Hot Springs is this way, and this Florida Gilliam's down here, and so I am about 3 hours away from your stand. If I wanted to get married and have a wedding, and I wanted you to supply all the flowers, would you drive that 3 hours to deliver all those crazy wedding flowers for me?
Yes, I would.
All right, then I will have to consider getting married one day just to get the flowers. Okay. So with that, Miss Autumn, I am actually at time. I try to limit this to a 30 minutes run so that it doesn't go too far. So is there anything else you'd like to say before we go into the wrap up stage of my podcast here?
I think for the most part, no, not on my part. Just thank you so much for having me as a guest today. It's been delightful to sit and talk about all things industry related.
Well, I'm happy to have you. My goal here is just to bring people on that don't normally get attention on these kind of podcasts and stuff like that. And I'm happy to have you here today. I love your work. I just, again, people, pick up the books, I will put the links down there, up the links to your flower shop and whatnot. So what we do for wrap ups, I usually try to come up with something related to my awkwardness when it comes to social things and whatnot. Just because, yes, we conduct this little thing here and it's fine, whatever. But in reality, when I meet people, I usually say or do something that just throws everyone off, and it's just my thing. So what I'm doing with you today is I'm going to tell you a joke. I'm going to tell you a joke that I wrote probably like 2 years ago. I did it once on stage. I did it on stage, and it just absolutely bombed. And I expected it to bomb. And that's a funny thing is I kind of like to use the audience as sort of a testing ground for just to see what would happen. So when I wrote this joke, I knew they would hate it. I love the joke personally, but I knew they would hate it. So I did it on stage to see them hate it. I wanted to see people stand there going, "What the heck did I just hear?" And I got that. I got it in spades. But I'm going to tell you the joke as our wrap up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you this joke. I want to see your natural reaction to it, and based on that reaction is going to be how we shut down this tonight. If you hate the joke, just log out, jump out of it. If you love the joke, then laugh it up, whatever. But I just want to see your reaction. And unlike all the other stuff where I did the pre-planning stuff, Autumn has never heard this joke before.
Now,
And
did it happen to you? Did it happen to you, or is this one of those lies that you were telling me about earlier?
This is an anecdote, so I'm not in the story, so there's no lying in it. But the thing is, most people think, well, he probably told her the joke in advance and she already has a reaction planned. Nope, this is all fresh. She doesn't know this joke. We're gonna see how she reacts to my joke here. And so before we do that, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Autumn, so much for
Thank you.
being here. It's always great talking to you. So here we go. We're gonna do my joke.
Here we
All
go.
right. So there's this guy. His name is Peter, and he's just having a hard time. He's just so bored. He's just tired of life. And I need to go and do something with my life. I need to just find something to do to get me out of this rut I'm in. So he decides to go to the zoo because he's thinking, I'm going to see animals. Animals live life without any worries, without any pains. I want to try to get that energy. So he goes to the zoo that day. And while he's at the zoo, he's checking out some of the animals, and it's kind of a hot day, so the animals aren't very active. So he's getting really bored. He looks at the tigers, and they're just sitting there, just laying on the ground. He's like, "Come on, do something." They're not doing anything. So he goes on over to the chimpanzees, and even they're not even doing anything. They're just up there, kind of just picking at their fleas and whatever, but they're not really swinging around. And he's like, "Man, this is really depressing." He goes over and looks at the penguins, and they aren't even swimming. They're just sitting on the ice, just being boring. And he's hating it, just hating it. But then he walks over to the bear enclosure, and there's this big grizzly in there, and he's just moving around. He's going back and forth, and he's just like just saying something in bear talk, and he's just not stopping, and he looks a little distraught. So Peter gets a little bit concerned. So he runs over to the zookeeper and he says, "Hey, zookeeper, what's wrong with your bear?" And he goes, "There's nothing wrong with our bear." And he goes, "No, no, no. He's doing something weird over there. I need you to come look." So he drags the zookeeper over to the bear enclosure and he goes, "Look, see how he's just pacing back and forth? And he's just mumbling something to himself, like bear talk." And the zookeeper goes, "Oh, yeah, he does that once a month." And Peter's like, "He does what once a month?" He goes, "Yeah, that bear, he often struggles with an existential crisis where he starts to worry about why he's even here. So he does this thing where he just starts pacing back and forth and he's just thinking about all the different bear philosophies about existence, and he's just going over it over and over. He keeps going over it over and over again until he can figure it out, and eventually he will, and he'll be fine." And Peter's like, "What? I don't, let me get this straight. You're saying that this bear is questioning his own existence, and so he's pacing back and forth, saying the same bear philosophical things over and over again to himself? I don't think I fully understand. It seems confusing. Could you run that by me one more time?" And the zookeeper goes, "Oh, yes, this bear's repeating. This bear is repeating. This bear's repeating."
Oh, did you get booed off stage?
No one said anything. It was like one of those things where I did on purpose. I wanted to waste as much of their time as I could for a horrible ending, and it worked. They did not like the joke, and I can
Now that is just
thank,
cruel.
thank
That
you
is just
for thank you for sticking to the end. I appreciate it. I'm glad you didn't just leave with their but yeah, it's a
wish
horrible
I had
joke.
a drum set. Oh.
It'd be wasted. I'm so sorry. But this bears repeating. So there.
This bear is repeating. Wow, that's very moving.
Thank you. You're being too kind. Everyone, I want you all to say thank you to Autumn for being here today. I appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate you sticking to that joke to the end there. Good luck in everything you do, and
Thank
everyone,
you.
check out the links, and we'll be back another time.
Thank you, Vu. I appreciate it.
Take care, ma'am.